Everybody, welcome back into the Ball Does Lie podcast, your one-stop shop for daily NBA hoops content. I'm your host, Brendan, joined by my co-host, Amir. Amir, incredible slate of Christmas games. It's been a really fun year up to this point. We're, about approaching the halfway point here of the season.
Yep.
And the Eastern Conference just is not anything looking like I think what we thought it would be coming into the season. I was pretty confident and high on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Kind of seems to be time to be hitting the panic meter or the panic button in Cleveland. They're currently sitting eighth right now in the conference. That's 8 spots lower than I thought they'd be. So, Amir, what's your take on the Cavaliers? Do you think this is just a terrible start to the season? Can they turn this around, or do they need to make a big move here just to get back into the mix?
I think it's just kind of a terrible start. I mean, they probably still need to make a move to actually compete, but I wouldn't panic. But I'd definitely be concerned. So this team feels kind of stuck right now between different identities. Like they're good enough to win games, but they're not dynamic enough to scare anybody like as a contender, like when it comes to the playoffs. And that was even when they were the number 1 seed or a 2 seed or a 3 seed, which they've been the 1 seed multiple times in the last 4 years or so since they've had Donovan Mitchell, who's been playing amazing, playing at an all-star level, averaging over 30 points per game. Someone I would love to be on my Miami Heat, who's friends with Bam Adebayo. Make it happen, please, one day, but it never will. But anyway, they're eighth in the East. They're eighth in the East in a year where the East is supposed to be open with all of the Achilles tears that we've dealt with, with Jason Tatum and with Hallie. It's just insane to see them at 17 and 16. And I didn't expect them to be this bad, and they've lost 4 out of the last 6. So, out of the last 10 games, they're 4-6. And so I'm just surprised, but I'm not fully concerned. I know they've been struggling because of injuries. Like every team is dealing with injuries, but they've had significant injuries with Garland, with his inconsistent health, with Mobley. But the other things are their poor transition defense. Their bad 3-point shooting. They went from second last year in percentages to 21st in the league. And even at one point last week, they were 27th in terms of 3-point percentage. They're making a lot of threes and they're taking a lot of threes, but they're not making them at a high enough clip to win games. I think if they clean that up and continue to make the amount of threes that they're capable of making, that is going to swing a few games. But yeah, like the biggest issue right here, I would say, is maybe the health. I think that would be one of the concerning things. Like the defense hasn't been as good as it has in the past. But they have the ability to score. They're top 9 in points per game. They have 7 guys who are scoring in double figures. Like, so they have the offense. I think it's just the defense needs to step up a little bit. I do like DeAndre Hunter. I like Garland when healthy. I like Mobley, who's solid. They added
The
Lonzo
roster's
Ball.
great.
Yeah, like
Roster
Lonzo
looks great.
Ball, I thought would have added a lot more, but his injuries, have made him kind of washed at this point. Honestly, like he's still a good defender and playmaker, but he's not having the impact that I thought he would.
And
But
his shooting numbers are pretty insanely embarrassing. I can't, as a Lonzo Ball fan, it pains me to see him shoot this terribly, but
25% from 3, like it's just like
insane.
that's part of the problem. But after all that, though, again, they're only 4 games or so, like from the 3rd seed, from the Boston Celtics. That's how tight the Eastern race is. Like, so the Celtics are 19 and 12, and the Cavs are 3 games. Actually, they're 3 games. All it takes is one good week for the Cavs and a bad week for a few teams ahead of them in the East, and they can go to 5th, 4th, even up to 3rd. So I wouldn't be fully concerned, but I'd be very annoyed if I was a Cavs fan, because they've always been doing very well in the regular season over the past 4 seasons. And so if they're not doing well in the regular season, why should you expect them to do well in the playoffs, though? Because you need to be good in the regular season to be successful in the playoffs. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think for obviously, I think Darius Garland not even playing near his potential. I think what they expected out of him is a huge reason for their struggles. And I think, being a team that played so regular season, specifically last year, 1 seed, they got lost in
I think we lost it. You're back. Go ahead.
I'm
Keep
a,
going.
I'm a, I'm
Go
a
ahead,
cut
30
this one.
seconds.
Yeah, that didn't get bounced out of the playoffs necessarily in an embarrassing fashion, but definitely disappointing. It's almost one of those scenarios where nothing they do in the regular season will impress anybody, including themselves. So I think it's almost a situation where they're kind of waiting for the playoffs to get here. But right now, they're a team that doesn't have that luxury. If playoffs were to start today, you're in the play-in, and a couple bad days can end the season for you. So a lot needs to change for them. Donovan Mitchell has just been their only offensive engine, the only thing driving their offense, which is insane too, because they're top 10 in offensive rating still at number 9. And that's with Darius Garland playing pretty terribly, DeAndre Hunter being very up and down so far this season. I think Mobley hasn't quite taken the offensive leap everybody was hoping for.
Yeah.
And then the other key thing is Jared Allen just basically getting played out of the lineup was another big shocker to me. That's someone who I thought would be a pretty consistent, 8 to then 10, 15 rebounds a game type of player. And he just is getting pretty dominated in a lot of his matchups he's been faced with so far this season. So a lot needs to change right now in Cleveland. But like you said, just one good month can change everything. So with that in mind, Amir, the kind of last question I'm going to pose you before we end this segment, do you still see them as a legitimate threat in the East, or do you think, their spot at 8th is kind of where we should expect them to be this year?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I still see them as potentially being a top 4 team that can get home court advantage. Again, they're 3 games back from the 3rd seed. They're 2 games back from the Toronto Raptors at this point. So I don't know if they're going to be better than the Knicks, who've actually looked better this season. And I hate the Knicks a lot, obviously, as a Miami Heat fan, but they've been looking a
Knicks
lot
look
better.
good. They
They look
look
really
good.
good. Pistons look really good too. I mean, so I don't think they would be top 2. I would say the Knicks and Pistons have solidified that, but I still think they should be a top 5 at worst. At worst, I think they can leapfrog teams possibly like the Sixers and Magic, which have been surprising to seeing the Sixers up here, especially because Embiid has still not really been healthy. So, but I think they could be a top 3, top 4 contender in the East. I still think so, but it's going to be tough for them to beat a team like the Knicks or the Pistons come playoff time, since they haven't had any success outside of when LeBron has been on this
Post
team in the
LeBron.
playoffs. Like post LeBron, anytime LeBron's on the roster, then sure they have a shot. I would say even at age 41, 42, they'd have a shot with this LeBron even. But without LeBron, they haven't really had success and made it to an Eastern Conference Finals without him. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. The East just continues to be full of surprises this year. I still can't get over the top 4. It's just, other than the Knicks, I wouldn't have put anyone in there. So it's been a fun year for sure. Well, thank you, Amir. Appreciate your time. Always love chopping it up with you. And thank you all for watching. If you do like this content, please make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one.